is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
For the second night in a row, it was the first inning that doomed the Tribe. And Mark Trumbo was once again the main culprit in the Oriole uprising. Today, it's time for the Tribe to stop the big inning and keep the O's off the board early. The task falls on the broad shoulders of Corey Kluber. So make it one more for my baby and one more for the road. Next on Sports Time Ohio. The Indians have one last chance to get it right here in Baltimore. Oriole Park at Camden Yards on another scorching hot afternoon. The Tribe will try to avoid being swept at the hands of the Birds for the second year in a row here in Baltimore, right here on Sports Time Ohio. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. In my estimation, Arch, two things have to happen today. One, they better find a way to contain Mark Trumbo, and two, they better find a way to score some runs.
Well, that's right, and keep the Orioles off the board early because Mark Trumbo has done a lot of damage in the first inning in this series. 3-run homer in game one, and then he adds a 2-run homer yesterday, and they put 3 on the board, so they've been trailing 3-0 in the first inning. Trumbo, 10 RBIs. He has really hurt the Tribe this year, so they're going to have to find a way to contain him. But the last 2 years in Camden Yards, the Indians can't score in this ballpark. You can see they're 0-5, outscored 13-1 in the first 3 innings. And in the previous 8 seasons, they played very good baseball. They averaged over 5 runs, and they had a way to, to beat the Orioles. But these last 2 years have been awfully tough. Very quietly, Corey Kluber has once again resumed his position as the Tribe's ace at the top of the rotation. Last 11 starts, he's 7-3. And in the only no decision his last time out, he pitched 7 innings of shutout baseball. You cannot pitch any better than Kluber did in Kansas City. As a matter of fact, it was a cramp that took him out of that ball game, and then the implosion by the bullpen. And that, I can't believe, was on this road trip. It seems like it was a long time ago, but it was only 5 days ago with his start. And Corey Kluber had to come out, and that's when they lost it. But Kluber on the year has been very good. You can see he's heating up a lot of innings. His strikeouts are up there, and they need Corey to go out there and put zeros on the board until their offense can find a way to score today. That's our Quicken Loans rocket arm this afternoon. Indians and Orioles from Camden Yards. We'll be back with today's first pitch coming up next. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
In Baltimore, the Indians trying to finish off their road trip with a victory and get out of town without being swept. For that to happen, our keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. The changeup, the off-speed pitch, has been a very effective one for the Baltimore pitching staff against the Indians. It's up to the Tribe to try and make an adjustment against that pitch. And for Corey Kluber, get off to a good start. That would certainly be important, you would think.
No doubt about it right there. Let's go. They got to keep him back and try and play from in front today.
Let's go down to Andre Knott for the last word before today's first pitch.
Well, Matt, you guys hit on the keys. Talking to Jason Kipnis, he feels like their success that his team had against the Kansas City Royals and hitting the fastball early in the count has played against them in this series so far against Baltimore. Feels like they have to make the adjustment. He feels like the starting pitchers for the Orioles have used the changeup very well early in the count, and it's time now for them to adjust if they want to get this victory.
Let's take a look at the Indians starting lineup. For Terry Francona, it's brought to you by Progressive. Carlos Santana leading it off, followed by Jason Kipnis. Then it's Francisco Lindor, Mike Napoli, Jose Ramirez, and Lonnie Chisenhall, Juan Uribe, Tyler Naquin, and Roberto Perez rounding it out.
And our Hyundai starting pitcher for the Orioles is going to be Vance Worley. He is 28 years old, 6'2", 250 pounds, making his fourth start of the season. He has made 18 relief appearances. 12 have been multi-innings. In his last start, he took the loss against the Yankees, but he did toss a season-high 88 pitches, and he had one appearance against the Indians. He went 4 1/3 innings and 4 hits, 2 runs back at Progressive Field on May 28th.
Santana stands in. We're ready to go, and the first pitch is up and away for ball 1. .90 degrees, our official game time temperature. The mercury expected to hit into the mid-90s before the day is over here in Baltimore. Caught a little bit of a break because the initial reports were for the temperature to hit near 100, but that's been moved to tomorrow. Two balls, 1 strike, and an off-speed pitch down low, and the count is 3-1. The 3-1 offering is low, ball 4, and Carlos Santana reaches to start the game.
Let's check the O's defense for you behind Worley this afternoon. It'll be Bourbon in left. Jones is in center. Trumbo over in right. Machado at third. Flaherty gets the start at short today. Schoop is at second. Davis at first. Joseph doing the catching.
Lance Barksdale has the plate. Crew chief Brian Gorman is at first. Pat Hoberg at second base. Quinn Walcott down at third. Already some groans from the crowd as Vance Worley has only thrown 1 strike.
Well, their starters have been very aggressive in the first inning. Bundy came out, if you remember, gave up a hit in the first, struck out 3 guys, struck out the side. And last night Gausman gave up the leadoff double with Santana. He struck out 2 out of the next 3. So
off the plate, the old Baltimore chop. Machado unloads, and he gets Kipnis at first, 1 away. Jason said after the game last night, it's no mystery, it's not a surprise to the Indians. They see what the Orioles pitchers have been doing, which is throwing a lot of changeups in counts. He said they're making them very effective pitches. They're hitting their spots with them. He said, believe me, if they start missing with some of those pitches, we'll take advantage, but you have to at times tip your cap to the other guy for executing.
Oh, yeah. They will continue to throw those pitches until they prove that they are looking for them and they can hit them. But you're right. If you don't make a mistake and you hit your location, you're much better off as a pitcher.
But consider this, Rick. In Game 1, Dylan Bundy threw 33% changeups. Gossman last night with a splitter, whatever you want to call it, 30% of his pitches.
So 1 every 3 pitches, you're going to see it.
So that tells you this isn't a fluke. This isn't happenstance. That's a game plan, and they're sticking to it.
What you should do is stay on the middle part of the field or other way, and think staying on the ball.
Lindor fouls one back over the screen. And the count goes to 1-2. Lindor has been one Indians hitter in the series that has been able to continue to swing the bat well. He has 4 hits to lead the club. Shoots that foul the other way, just spoiled it.
Boy, did a nice job to do that. That was a tough pitch. May not even have been a strike, but it looked like it was by him. And it was just, there you go. Too close to take for him. It was probably off the plate, but still did a nice job to foul it off.
Got it in on him and popped him up. The left fielder Bourbon makes the catch, 2 down. That'll bring up Mike Napoli. Rick, you have to give Baltimore credit for one thing. You know, they always say the definition of insanity is repeating the same mistake, hoping for a different result.
Right.
Baltimore hasn't been blessed with great starting pitching this year. And they've tried some different things, such as Dylan Bundy and Vance Worley, taking them from a very effective bullpen and putting them into the rotation to see what happens.
Well, and Buck says that Bundy's going to be in that rotation the rest of this year. And you know, the Indians are lucky they didn't have to face Chris Tillman. He pitched the day before they got home. He has 14 wins. And then you look at their bullpen when you want to see the win department.
They have the most wins in baseball of any bullpen. Mike Napoli's had a tough weekend in Baltimore. 0 for 7, 6 strikeouts. He's down 0-2. Shoots it into the glove of Davis to end the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left. Baltimore is coming to bat. For Buck Showalter today. Well, Adam Jones in the leadoff spot. Jonathan Schoop adding second. Manny Machado will hit third. Then it's Chris Davis. Mark Trumbo's hit 2 homers in the series. Pedro Alvarez, who homered last night. Then Ryan Flaherty, Caleb Joseph, and Julio Bourbon.
Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher Corey Kluber making his 20th start this year. Corey coming off a beautiful start in Kansas City. 7 innings, 5 hits, and 8 strikeouts. Just had to come out of that ball game, if you remember, with a cramp, and the bullpen imploded in Kansas City. They gave up a 7-run inning, so he had a no decision.
Jones with a rocket to left. Ramirez makes the catch. 1 away.
The Indians defense behind Kluber will look like this. Sponsored by Jeep. We got Ramirez in left, Naquin in center, Chisenhall in right, Uribe and Lindor on the left side, Kipnis and Napoli on the right, with Perez doing the catching.
This brings up Jonathan Schoop, the Orioles' second baseman. And he looks at a ball outside. Schoop and been on quite a tear, but the Indians have held him to just 1 hit and 8 at bats. Jonathan Schoop this year has 27 multi-hit games. At the knees, a low heater. And that gets Kluber ahead 1-2.
Kluber 1-1 in his career against the Orioles. 3 out of his 4 starts to this point have come in this ballpark.
Schoop goes the other way, and Lonnie Chisenhall grabs it. 2 down. That will bring up Manny Machado. Machado is 6th in the American League, 116 hits on the season. He is 7th. Actually, I take that back. He's tied for 5th in the American League in batting average. He's tied with Ian Desmond and Mike Trout. All 3 of those guys at .314. Well, Jose Altuve is on a tear again. He's batting .357.
Yeah, he's in a
appears to be running away with the batting title.
He's in a different league.
Machado tries to go the other way, and again Lonnie Chisenhall there to make the catch. Baltimore goes 1-2-3, and after 1 for the first time in this series, we are scoreless. Jose Ramirez will lead off for Cleveland. That's early with a first pitch strike. Ramirez leads the Indians with 22 doubles. Davis with the backhand, the flip. One away. Our great clip of the game from last night. The Indians finally got on the board, breaking up the shutout on a double by Lonnie Chisnall in the 9th inning. But that was as close as they would get, losing 5-2. Lonnie's 13th double of the year. And he comes in batting .299 on the year.
I'm looking at Worley. He doesn't throw that hard. He's right around anywhere from 88 to 90 with his fastball, but a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. But he sort of short arms it. Maybe tough to pick up, and he gets on you a little bit quicker than normal.
Lonnie shoots one to left. That'll get down. Bourbon racing over, cuts it off. He makes a strong throw to second, but Lonnie beats it with a head-first slide. It's a one-out double for the Indians.
It's a good one to challenge right there with one out in the inning, and Bourbon's going to his left, or to his right, excuse me, down the line, and he's going to have to turn and make a perfect throw. So why not challenge him? You know, the left-hander has to come, turn around, and throw it. It's a little off line, and Lonnie beats it. Good hustle. Gets his 14th double.
Now Juan Uribe back in the lineup after he was hit in the helmet by a pitch on Friday night late in the game. He said that he was fine afterwards, felt he'd be ready to go, and here he is back in the lineup. Terry Francona said the key is no blurred vision, no headaches, no effects that you would associate potentially with a concussion, other than just some general soreness in the left cheek. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2. When Uribe was hit by that pitch Friday night, it caught him right in that left ear flap. Bit outside, 1-2.
Yeah, anytime you see that happen at a ballpark, I don't care what hitter it is, when you hear that helmet get hit, that's a scary situation. So Juan's very lucky.
This was the pitch Friday night if you missed it.
Ouch. My goodness. He really had no way to get out of, didn't have a chance to get out of the way.
Now that's one of those pitches, is as you're leaning back, it's just bearing right in on you. You can't get out of the way. Down on the dirt. 2-2. He was pretty upbeat and lighthearted about it after the ball game. Lonnie Chisnall in scoring position with one out on the second, and the 2-2 is a chopper towards short. Machado will go to first. 2 down.
Well, Indians baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. You can stay connected all season with radio broadcast, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Just download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Tyler Naquin taking a called strike. Jake went 2 for 7. He has a double in the series. Last night the Orioles really made him a target. Struck out 3 times. They pitched him tough. 1-1. Vance Worley was originally a 3rd-round pick of the Philadelphia Phillies back in 08 out of Cal State Long Beach. 4 years later, they traded him to the Twins in the Ben Revere trade, along with Trevor May. Right back to the mound. Worley has an easy play, and that will end the inning. No runs ahead, a man left. No score, middle of the second.
A post-game fireworks presentation. The Oakland A's will be in town. This will all start taking place Friday, July 29th. Budweiser cans are $2 in the right field district from 5 to 7. And 10,000 fans will get an ugly Christmas t-shirt. Go to Indians.com for your tickets.
Chris Davis to lead off for Baltimore. Kluber with a first pitch strike. Those 22 home runs for Chris Davis, tied for 8th in the American League. The Indians have held him to 0 for 8 in the series. High with it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Buck Showalter really gave Chris Davis high praise after the ball game last night for the hustle that beat out a first inning double play ball that extended the inning and it enabled Trumbo to hit the 2-run homer. And that, for the second time in as many games, Davis launches a bat into the crowd.
Man, he better use some stickum. Don't be afraid to use some of the claw. That thing was holy smokes. A javelin throw. What? Boom, there it goes, and it goes past first base. That throw was well over 100 feet into the seats.
That guy tried to grab it. I think he took a barrel in the chin. Swing and a miss.
Well,
Trumbo fouls one back with 1 out here in the second inning. Ripped foul, third base side. Buck Showalter says of Mark Trumbo, he's been incredibly valuable, and he said, thought it was an interesting choice of word, an incredibly consistent human being.
Yeah. Well, he's fit in well here in Baltimore. He hasn't missed a beat. You know, he's been the talk, or a hired gun, I should say, in the last few years as far as trades go, but he landed in the right spot for himself in this ballpark.
Right at the first baseman, Napoli. He'll take it himself. 2 down. Stat of the game, by the way, presented by Buick. When you saw Mark Trumbo, the first to 30 home runs this year. And he's third in the league in RBIs with 73 also.
Yeah, he's having and hitting 283 coming into this game with 17 doubles. Just a good all-around year.
There's Pedro Alvarez. Hit his 12th homer of the year last night on a ball that would have landed out onto Utah Street if it hadn't hit one of those brick pillars beyond the seating in right field. This guy can hit him a long way.
Yes, he can. Well, this Orioles offense just built for this park.
I wonder too if when playing Baltimore they sort of lure you into trying to play their game, and if you're not built to hit home runs, you start trying to hit home runs, it can get you out of whack as a team offensively.
Sure can. Well, they think this, their hitters make this ballpark look smaller than it is, and I mean it is a small ballpark, or a good park to hit in, I should say. But yeah, it's tough to compete with some of the power that they have. They're first in the league.
Jason Kipnis from way out on the outfield grass throws him out. 6 up, 6 down for Corey Kluber. No score through 2 in Baltimore. Enjoying a cold one. Stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Gorgeous Sunday afternoon. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching today. For Cleveland, Roberto Perez, Carlos Santana, and Jason Kipnis. Francisco Lindor posted a picture on his Instagram account before today's game. Had Roberto Perez's bat all wrapped in towels on a training table, trying to bring in some good luck. Said today's the day it's going to happen for Roberto. There's a fly ball deep right. Back is Trumbo. He's going back. He's out of room. It's off the wall. And Roberto's headed for second. And he is a dead duck.
Well, it's the first time he's had an opportunity to make a left-hand turn in all year, and I'll tell you what, in this ballpark, that right field fence is not deep enough. So with his speed, he should have known to just stop and take the single. But no, he wanted to stretch it. He gets thrown out at second base, so it was a short-lived single. But he does get his first hit.
After 16 hitless at bats, Roberto Perez has one on the board. But there's one out, and the base is empty for Carlos Santana, who walked his first time up. Seems a shame to come that close to hitting a home run and still get thrown out at second base, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a short porch there in right field, and you have to be very leery of it. It's a lot like Fenway Park, maybe not quite as short, but very similar. For from that line to straightaway right field.
Santana walked to lead off the game for the 57th time this year. Not to lead off the game, but he walked for the 57th time. Third most free passes in the American League. He went too far, and that's the first strikeout for Vance Worley, 2 down.
You'll get a look at it from the side, and he couldn't hold up, couldn't check it. He certainly did go around.
Back in 2012, when the Twins traded Ben Revere to the Phillies to get Vance Worley and Trevor May, they turned around and traded Worley to the Pirates for cash considerations, and then the Orioles got Worley off the waiver wire from Pittsburgh. That was at the end of last season.
Well, normally coming out of the bullpen, but I told you he had 18 appearances out of that bullpen this year, and 12 of them multi-innings. Well, they're probably, after most of Ubaldo's starts, it seemed like he was coming in an awful lot when Jimenez was starting. So he is making his 4th start today.
Missed up and in. Two and two. Popped up, foul, and that's going to be out of reach.
I mentioned before about his pitch count. He threw a season high 88 pitches in his last start against the Yankees. He ended up getting beat in that game. But when these, you got to be careful. You've got to be on the mark. If you're a guy that really, Buck's just looking, give me 5 innings if you can. Anything over that is a bonus.
It's down and in. The 3-2 is yanked foul. No score, 3rd inning, 2 down. Base is empty. Ball 4. 2nd walk issued by Worley. And a 2-out base runner for Francisco Lindor. If you ride in Velosano, the first 50 people to sign up will get a free registration and an Indians bike jersey. And this is an event where if you just want to ride your bike around the warning track at Progressive Field, or if you're hardcore and you want to ride 50 miles with Sandy Alomar, then just sign yourself up. Visit Velasano.org to register today, and the event is coming up, so time is running out. Lindor with a line drive, base hit up the middle. Kipnis stops at second. And Frankie has his 5th hit in the series, and the Indians have 2 on with 2 out.
That was must have been off the end of the bat. Looked like a little changeup. Barely gets through the infield. It got down towards the trademark, so he got enough of it to get it through. So now the Indians trying to mount with 2 outs. See if they can get something rolling here. A walk and a single keeps the inning going. Remember, Perez led the inning off with a single, but he was thrown out at second base trying to stretch it into a double.
Mike Napoli with a ground ball to short. They'll go the short way, and they beat Lindor for the inning-ending force. And for some reason, Schoop threw on his first base as well. Maybe just in case they didn't get him there. Inning over, no score.
Christmas t-shirt courtesy of Papa John's. That'll take place Friday the 29th. A's are in town. Also $2 Budweiser cans in the district. And Dollar Dog Night. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Ryan Flaherty to lead off here in inning number 3 for Baltimore. Swing and a miss for strike 1. A little bit low that time. Flaherty not tempted. And it's now 2-1. Got ahead of him with a quick strike, but he's missed with 3 straight since. Good patience for a guy who hasn't played a lot lately. Smokes that foul, full count. Flaherty is a true utility man. Last year he hit a home run while playing in 5 different positions: first, second, short, third, and right field. The only position he didn't homer while playing last year was in left. Swing and a miss. Kluber comes back to strike him out, 1 away.
Nice comeback.
get on to Andre for more on Corey Kluber.
Well, Corey felt in his last start he was as strong as he's been all season. He appreciated getting the extra rest. If you remember after the All-Star break, Terry Francona matched him up a little bit deeper back in the rotation. He says as crisp as his off-speed pitches have been all year long, he says now he's got to pace himself through the rest of the season. But he felt he was as strong as he's been all year in his last start versus KC.
He was outstanding. Just 5 hits in his 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. Unfortunately, it was a cramp that took him out of the ball game. And looks pretty sharp right now, too.
One and two. Well, Corey got off to a very slow start this year. He lost his first 3 decisions and was just 2-5 in the middle of May. But since then, as I pointed out in the open, he's gone 7-3. It's just sort of gone a little unnoticed because of the poor start to his year and because of how many other guys in the staff have gotten off to fast starts, like Danny Salazar and Josh Tomlin. First hit of the game on an opposite field single by Caleb Joseph.
There's a mistake pitch there. A little slider that stayed flat middle of the plate. Enables Joseph to take it the other way and get the Orioles' first hit this afternoon.
What kind of odds do you think I would have had on Caleb Joseph leading the Orioles in hits in the series?
Boy, I think pretty good odds.
He was batting 170 when we arrived. He's pumped that up to 211 now.
Well, and this is his 6th straight start because Wieters has been out with the sore right foot. They're hoping that Wieters gets back into the lineup tomorrow on Monday. And Buck didn't want to give him the day game after the night game and want to catch him, but hey, he's an extra guy, and he'll be once Wieters comes back, if he's healthy. Wieters will get the bulk of the catching. But he's done a nice job of filling in.
Fouled right back. Baltimore, on the strength of winning 3 in a row, has opened up a 1.5 game lead over Boston in the AL East.
What a wild one in Boston last night, too. Winds gusting up to 45 miles an hour.
Upstairs. But the wildest story of the night was out of Chicago, where Chris Sale did not make his scheduled start because he didn't like the uniforms. He threw a tantrum and reportedly took the scissors to some of the throwback uniforms. Today, the White Sox gave him a 5-day suspension for that incident. And as fate would have it, the White Sox and Tigers ended up being one of those rain delay situations. It had to be a bullpen game. They had 3 relievers combined to get him through. What was it, the 7th inning? And then they had to suspend the game. It was 3-3 because of the rain.
Yeah.
So they're finishing that game this afternoon, and then they'll play the regularly scheduled game when that one ends.
Yes, just underway.
Out of play. Yeah, that suspended game is now in the 9th inning.
Yep.
Tied at 3. Swung out and missed. Chase one on the dirt. Bone thought maybe he got a piece of it. The umpire says no dice. 3rd strikeout for Kluber. 2 away here in the inning.
This will be our Circle K strikeout of the day. It's a nice breaking ball down and in. You swing over the top of. And he got it. Looked like it went into the glove of Perez. Jones helped him out. He pointed down, pulled the Miguel Cabrera, points to the umpire. They say he did not go. Watch, he points at the same time the umpire does. Nope. You got the catcher, you got the hitter, and you got the umpire all
Everybody likes
down
that
there.
guy found at first. Out of play. Well, hitters probably feel in the back of their mind that if that call is going to be made, I'd rather have the guy who's got the best look rather than the umpire behind the plate who might not see it as well as he thinks he sees it.
But if the umpire sees it behind the plate, he calls it right away. He doesn't have a second to wait. He's got to either call it or he should ask for help. And a lot of times that's where a home plate umpire gets himself in trouble, is when they make the call themselves instead of asking for help.
Upstairs, 2-1.
I mean, I'm sure sometimes they can see it, but if you're following the ball and you really want a good look at calling that pitch a ball or a strike, sometimes I'm sure you don't see the bat. Not saying all the time, but if there's ever a doubt, they should probably ask.
Pop back out of play. Missed outside, full count. We're in the bottom of the third, no score in Baltimore. Corey Kluber allowed his first hit of the game in this inning to Caleb Joseph, but he has struck out the other two hitters. Joseph will be off on this 3-2 pitch to Jones. Swung on and missed. He got him to go fish, and the inning is over. Kluber strikes out 3 in the third. He's fanned 4 in the ball game. We are scoreless through 3. Levin Furniture. Jose Ramirez signed back in '09 out of the Dominican Republic. And he's still really just a youngster. We talk about Francisco Lindor and Tyler Naquin.
Yeah, he's just a year older than Lindor.
Ramirez is 23 years old. Made his major league debut, believe it or not, 3 years ago. played a handful of games. Then in 2014, played in 68 games. Last year, 97. Remember, he started the season last year as the everyday shortstop. But by the time the year ended, he came back around as a utility man. And I think that planted the seed for his role for this year. The question was, would he be able, as a young player, to succeed? Well, as fate would have it, he hasn't had to sit much. He's played every day, partly because of his own ability, partly because of the injury to Michael Brantley.
Well, we talk every once in a while when you're getting into the dog days that guys need rest. Well, you know what? Ramirez could use one too, because he has been playing every day, you know, along those lines, because he'll play 2 positions during a game, left field, and come in at third base for defense if he's starting out there a lot of times.
That is smoke, deep right field. That's going to get down and foul. Just got out in front of it a little too much.
It must have been a changeup that he gets out in front of. And that ball hooks foul.
Out of play, I believe. Let's see. Bourbon. No, sir. Can't get there. Yeah, Rick, you look at it, and for Jose Ramirez, for a guy who was not expected to necessarily be an everyday player, only Santana, Napoli, Lindor, and Kipnis have played more games than Ramirez. Good eye, and he draws a leadoff walk to this 4th inning. I'll bring up Lonnie Chisenhall, who doubled to left his first time up.
It's the 3rd time in the first 4 innings they've had their leadoff man aboard. Well, I shouldn't say that. Perez did get the single, but he was thrown out at second, so he never really put Worley in the stretch.
Look at Wayne Kirby getting after it. Jumping out of the dugout, getting on that foul ball. He still got it, right?
Well,
and they're hooting on him big time. Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. And that caught the outside corner. And Worley jumps ahead now, 1-2. Back. Now the 1-2. Runner goes. Pitch is hit in the hole perfectly like Chisenhall. Ramirez will go to 3rd. Rick, I don't know how many times the Indians have pulled that this year. Not many. But that time it worked to perfection.
Well, it did. Were there 2 strikes on Chisenhall? I think there was 2 strikes, so Ramirez was just taking off to steal a base. And Lonnie just happened to find the hole. He saw him going. He sees the shortstop vacated his position, so that's nicely done on his part.
Yeah, because that wasn't even a strike, I don't think. That ball looked like it was up and away. Lonnie knew he could get the barrel to it. And the Indians are set up now with Juan Uribe fouling one up in the air and just out of play. Is that just an instinctual reaction? If you see a guy going out of the corner of your eye, you just say, I've got to get the bat to the ball?
No, you can see him. You see him, and you can see who's breaking out there. So he did a great job of just staying back and slapping it that way. It's not a panic thing. But Ramirez was running on the pitch, so you can see it happening.
And normally a 1-2 pitch is a good one to run on. You're figuring it's going to be an off-speed pitch,
it's
maybe.
It's a chance of being an off-speed pitch.
High pop. And Uribe to the first baseman, Davis. 1 down. Bring up Tyler Naquin. White Sox won on the bottom of the 9th. They beat Detroit 4-3.
All right, wait a half an hour and we'll start another one.
That drops Detroit currently 7 games back of Cleveland in the loss column. Tyler Naquin trying to deliver as he takes a strike. There are some days where it just seems to rain runs, and then there are others where it seems like it takes an act of Congress to get a run home. And in this series, that's been more the case. But even going back to last year in this ballpark, for whatever reason, the Tribes had a tough time scoring against Baltimore pitching.
Yes, indeed. I showed you 13-1 in the first 3 innings in the last 2 years, but they just really haven't found a way to put anything on the board here. They went from before 2 years ago averaging over 5 runs a game here for the longest time.
And to be fair, it's not as though Baltimore has really bludgeoned them. They had a 3-run first in the first game and a 3-run first in the second game, and that's about all they generated as well. Naquin shoots one deep to left. Poor ball got turned around. It's over his head. It'll short hop the wall. That'll score Ramirez. Chisenhall to third. Naquin into second with an RBI double. And for the first time in the series, the Indians will play from in front. They lead it 1-0.
Well, there's a beautiful swing by Naquin to take it to left field. And I mean on a line drive. He just smokes this ball down and away and stayed on it nicely. So not only does he get the run in from third, but he sets up another situation where they can go second and third in just 1 out now and give Perez a chance. He scorched that ball. That's double number 11 for Tyler.
That's sort of an outfielder's not worst fear, but one of his fears is a line drive that's over your head that you have no chance to get to it.
That's true. He wasn't going to get it. That ball, not many left-handers can drive a ball over the left fielder's head like that right there. You can count them on your hand.
Roberto Perez got his first hit of the year, his first time up, but he was thrown out trying to stretch that single into a double. Now 1 out of 17 on the season. He hit it hard his first time up. He drove it over the head of Mark Trumbo and off the wall in right. But Trumbo played it well and made a perfect throw to second to nail Perez in the 3rd inning.
Well, here you'll see the knock that goes off the wall, but Trumbo played it on 1 hop into the glove, turns and makes an easy throw, and Perez was a dead duck.
What do you think that was? Maybe a foot, 2 feet at most from being a home run?
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that far. No kidding.
Oh, Perez does not like that call by home plate umpire Lance Barksdale. He's in the hole 1-2. What do you think?
Well, let's look at it on our Nissan pitch tracker and I'll let you know. I didn't think so. I think it wrapped around the plate and it might have been a little high.
In the dirt. Good stop there by Joseph. Back to even at 2-2. Still only one out. Infield in for Baltimore. And again, the good eye of Perez. He's patient, and now it's a full count.
Yeah, making him get in the zone. He's just, once he gets ahead of you, he's nibbling. He's like a reliever. He doesn't want to throw you a strike until he has to.
Payoff pitch. High fly ball. Deep left center field. Bourbon on the warning track makes the catch coming forward. Tagging and scoring on the play is Chisenhall. Naquin goes to third, and there are 2 down. Roberto Perez has his first hit today and now his second RBI on the season, and the Indians lead is 2-0. Let's go down to Andre.
You know, before the game, Terry Francona talked about Roberto Perez's at-bats, and he says he appreciates them. He appreciates it, how he works the pitcher. He said that he told him, stop looking at the scoreboard and just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get some hits. Also, Roberto told me, I can remember every at-bat from since April. He goes, every time I've come close to getting a hit, I can tell you exactly what happened. So I'm sure it's a sigh of relief that he finally got that hit.
Well, Andre, whatever Lindor did pregame ritual-wise for Roberto's back, he might have to stick with that now.
I think they will stick with it. I think Juan Uribe wants it. He's close to me. He's getting ready to throw all of his bats away, he told me when he came off it just a minute ago.
Here's Carlos Santana. Lifting one shallow left. In comes Bourbon. Easy play for the left fielder. Inning over. The Indians get on the board first here in the 4th inning. Uribe, or rather Naquin drives home one, Perez the other. Senior Open is coming very soon to Scioto Country Club down in Columbus, August the 8th. For more information, purchase tickets, go to 2016USSeniorOpen.com. The players, the course, it's major championship, and it's going to be a terrific weekend down in Columbus. Jonathan Schoop. If you just look at his name on paper, it's as hard to pronounce as the place he grew up in. Curacao, South Caribbean island. That ball's hammered. Look out. Way back, and it is off the wall. Well played by Naquin. Makes a strong throw to second, and Schoop is in there ahead of the tag. A leadoff double, and that's his 27th of the year. He came in tied for 4th in the American League in doubles.
He almost got caught looking at it. He thought he hit this ball, and he was just taking his time until he sees it hits the wall, and then he's got to kick it in gear. But that was not a very good pitch by Kluber on an 0-2 count. He threw him a fastball down the middle, and Schoop took advantage of it. So they will come back and try and answer that 2-run inning by the Indians.
Manny Machado flied to right his first time up. And he was a little tardy. Line to center, base hit. Schoop coming around third to wave him home. Naquin's throw way offline. Down to second base goes Machado. So now the tying run is in the scoring position. 2 batters into the bottom half of the inning.
Yeah, that's where when you're an outfielder and you're going to make an attempt to throw home, you've got to make sure you hit your cutoff man. And they'll either cut it or let it go through, because you don't want that guy that hits the baseball to get himself in scoring position. You can see that ball, he got on top of it and it sort of tails on him, but it misses everything, and then, you know, it's easy for Machado to get himself in scoring position. There was no chance for Napoli. So the base hit, you can give him the 1 run, but you don't let that guy get in on second base. There's nobody out in the inning to begin with anyway. So back-to-back hits, and they're on the board.
Now Chris Davis struck out his only time up. Davis comes up empty, the count 1-1.
Heads up over the Orioles dugout for flying bats. Did it once last night, once this afternoon. Does he not have gloves on this time? He's going gloveless.
Two and 1. Last night, when Davis launched his bat inadvertently, I might add, into the seats, it struck a woman in the head, and she was taken out to be treated and observed. That was the last word we got. 2-1 pitch. Weekly bounce to first base. Napoli will flip it to Kluber, but now that run is at third base with only 1 out.
Right. That's the difference. That's what we're talking about there, when you got to keep that guy at first base. And any outfielder that's making a throw, make sure you hit your cutoff man. That keeps the double play in order. Now they have a chance to tie the game with a sac fly, or a lot more different ways than they would have had.
The American League home run leader, Mark Trumbo, with 30. For that matter, he leads all of baseball in home runs.
Yeah. Well, Kluber started him off with a very good slider. He wasn't going to start it in the strike zone, and you could see he caught him aggressive. Trumbo hit the ball in the nose a couple of times in his last at bat. 1 foul. And Corey was in the zone, so you may want to stay out of it for a while. Good pitch.
Just missed 1-1. Time he got him to expand his strike zone. He's upset with himself. 1-2.
Well, this one was not even close, and he was able to get Trumbo to chase it. I mean, that's that slider. He started it off the plate to begin with. But Trumbo could not hold up. So now Kluber has a chance to go for a punch out.
Wow, what a job by Roberto Perez. That ball bounced so far in front of the plate it almost hit the grass.
Yeah, he wanted to throw another one of those good sliders and you know, get him to swing at it.
It just barely
you're right.
beat the cut of the grass.
Great job by Perez to block it.
And Corey was not going to hang it. Shakes him off a couple of times. Now he's got one he likes. Infield in, 2-2 pitch. Eventually the at-bat will continue. Now we're ready in the 2-2. Full count. The infield again drawn in for Cleveland. Machado not a burner, so they're not all the way in. They walked him. So now the middle infielders will go to double play depth. Try to turn two if Kluber can get Alvarez to hit one on the ground. Pedro Alvarez has hit into 3 double plays in 200 at bats this year.
You know, as hot as Trumbo was, I can see where Kluber didn't really want to give him too much to do anything with. He got ahead of him, but he was just going to either make his pitch or get Trumbo to swing at a bad pitch, and Trumbo was patient enough to lay off and take the walk.
Strike. Alvarez can't believe it.
Just a little bit above the belt. You can see where Perez brings it down a couple of inches. Not as high as the one they rang Lindor up on Friday.
Count 1-1. Chopped to short. Lindor goes to second. There's one. Kipnis trying to turn two. This time they got him. And that will end the inning as Baltimore gets on the board thanks to a Manny Machado single. It's 2-1 Cleveland through 4 in Baltimore. Buck Showalter says he's going to challenge the blow. Yeah.
Well, it was close. And you see him coming around. He might have beat it. He might have beaten that throw.
Well, if he did, then Baltimore has tied the game. And it would keep the inning alive for Ryan Flaherty.
Well, the umpires in the stands, they love it. They think it's take a slow
It's
look
a quick
at
decision.
it. Yeah, it is, and that's always. He is, yeah, it's overturned. So we have a tie ball game.
Now Terry Francona has come out to talk to the home plate umpire Lance Barksdale. Was there any potential interference at second base?
Well, there's where Lindor gets the ball to Kipnis.
You're not allowed to go in with your hands up. But evidently there's nothing to challenge there for Terry. So there are 2 down and Baltimore has tied the game. And Mark Trumbo, second time now that Pedro Alvarez gets an RBI and a fielder's choice. Second time in as many games an Orioles hitter beats out a potential double play ball by just hustling down the line. It gets him a run and keeps an inning alive. It's what led to their big first inning last night.
Yeah, so Baltimore able to come back and get their second run and answer that 2-run top half of the fourth by the Indians.
Flaherty cuts and misses. Up the middle, and that's through.
Well, just gets enough of it to get it past Kipnis, who's diving for it to try and knock it down, but that gets through, so they get their third hit in the inning. And they keep this fourth inning going now. 2 on, 2 out, 2 in. And Joseph, a guy who's had 5 hits in this series. 5 for 7.
Takes a strike here. A long inning for Corey Kluber now. 2 balls and a strike. in the air, right field. Back goes Lonnie Chisenhall and makes the catch. That will end the inning, but Baltimore comes back with 2 to match the 2 the Indians scored in the top half of the inning, and we're even through 4. Indians baseball is brought to you by Levin Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. That was a long inning for Corey Kluber. He made 26 pitches, but he gets out of it with a tie game, 2-2. And we go now to the 5th inning. Jason Kipnis will lead it off. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. I want to go back to that double play that Buck Showalter challenged that got the Orioles that second run and tied the game. Terry Francona came out to talk to the umpire, and I'm assuming that he was asking him about the runner going into second base and when he threw his hands up in the air. I think by the definition of the rule, there has to be some type of contact in order for Terry to have an ability to maybe challenge that or ask the umpires to get together and take a look at that. If there's no contact, then there's essentially
right. He's going directly into the bag. He didn't alter his course by any means.
Right, but if you throw your hands up in the air and you make contact where the ball hits it, then he might have an ability to challenge that, or at least ask the umpires to get together and talk about it. But since there was no contact, I'm sure the umpire said that, everything was legit. A lot of times
you go up there, you go into slide, you have your hands above your head when you're sliding. And he's all fine, all well and good. He didn't go past the bag. And it was overturned. Originally he was called out, but overturned again. And boy, it's been a weird weekend here where the Indians cannot turn a double play. They're having a hard time.
It all goes back to what is a bona fide slide into second base. You have to go straight into the bag, as we've talked about. You can't go past the bag, you can't overslide. And you can't make contact by throwing your hands up or lifting your leg up high. But none of those things were in play. And it ends up being a really good challenge by the Orioles. It was a close play. And the video evidence overturned it, so Baltimore has tied it up. And it's a 2-2 game here in the 5th. Kind of the way the series has gone, though. I mean, Indians haven't been able to get much going offensively. They finally break through, get 2 on the board, and Baltimore comes right back and quickly answers. Both Kipnis and Lindor were upset last night after the game that they weren't able to turn that double play in that first inning. Buck Showalter and Terry Francona both credited Chris Davis was busting it down the line to beat it out. But Kip and Frankie both said after the game, 99 times out of 100 we turned that. It was just a slight hesitation they felt on both their parts.
Yeah.
But Terry said, look, Kip's got to give him a second to get going, to get to the bag. Otherwise, there's nobody to throw to. Just one of those timing plays that was just a tick off, and that was all it took. And the 0-2. Vance Worley came out and just shut him down 1-2-3 for the first time today.
Frank Robinson and Charlie Jameson will be inducted into the Indians Hall of Fame on Saturday, July 30th. The Indians will host the A's. 15 fans can get a Tommy bobblehead at that game, and post-game fireworks are going to be on display. So just go to Indians.com and get your tickets.
High pop. Shallow left center. Ramirez calling for it, makes the catch. One away. Top of the order, Adam Jones. Adam Jones lined to left hand has struck out. Jones 3 out of 8 in the series, and Kluber fires a fastball strike over the outside corner. Blew it by him. Boy, looked like maybe Jones was sitting on something off speed because he was tardy. 5th strikeout for Corey Kluber. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Not much really new to report on the injury front. Zach McAllister says he's starting to feel more like himself on the mound down in his rehab stint at AAA Columbus. Michael Brantley hopefully will be able to get back on the comeback trail soon. There's a long drive deep to left. Ramirez going to watch it fly out of here. Jonathan Schoop gives Baltimore a 3-2 lead.
That's his 17th home run, and he just missed the home run in his last at-bat. You give him a couple of more extra base hits, and this guy has done a whale of a job. I think a cutter to me. That Schoop stayed back, put a nice swing on. He will give the Orioles a lead.
Corey Kluber, 3 innings of shutout baseball, giving up just 1 hit, but in the last 2 innings the Orioles have knocked him around. They've scored 3 times on 4 hits.
It's 45 extra base hits now for Schoop.
1-1 for Manny Machado, who drove in a run in the 4th. Two balls, 2 strikes with 2 down here in the 5th. Hits are even at 5 apiece. Off the literally end of the bat. And the inning is over. But Jonathan Schoop goes deep. Baltimore in front for the first time today, 3-2.
The best perks, including savings and access to Tribe Rewards. Today's Tribe Rewards TV code is MILLS. Visit Indians.com season tickets for your details.
Jose Ramirez walked and scored in the 4th. Looks at a ball in the dirt.
Well, right before the game, too, Baltimore, I don't know if we mentioned it or not, activated Darren O'Day off the disabled list, so he's alive and well in their bullpen.
One down. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. The Indians got on the board first today. Tyler Naquin with a double to right field, drove in a run, Tribe up 2-0. But Baltimore would tie it on this overturned call at first base and took the lead on the homer by Schoop in the fifth. Lonnie Chisenhall, 2 for 2, has doubled, singled, and scored a run. Lonnie pops one high in the air to right. Tough sun field for Trumbo, and he makes the catch. 2 down. Buck Showalter was saying before the game today that the play last night by Chris Davis, in which he beat out that double play at first, he said, you know, there's not a lot of first basemen in the league or in baseball that could beat that play out. It was a one-hop smash. It was a bullet. And he said, you know, there's just not a lot of guys that I believe that can beat that play out. He said it's not that he's tremendously gifted with speed, but it's a hustle thing.
Yeah.
And he said, I hope that's the kind of play that rubs off on other players. And what happens today, Pedro Alvarez, maybe because of Chris Davis, maybe not, but it certainly didn't hurt. And today, it's Pedro Alvarez who hustles down the line and just does beat it out. Well, and they get it overturned on the video replay.
That's something that every player should do when you have a chance of beating out a double play ball. You should go down the line every single time.
But they don't.
Well, how bad do they want an RBI? That's the way I look at it. You know, they don't go down the line like that when you hit a regular ground ball and there's not a man on third base. But if there's a man on third base, they have a chance to get a ribby. It's a different story.
And I think that was Showalter's point, that should tell you, even when you hit a ball square on the nose right at somebody,
go.
Run hard.
Right.
It might mean the difference in the game.
Well, your managers and coaches can say that, but it's your best players that have to do that on a nightly basis, on a daily basis. You have to go out there, and your best players have to do that. And if they do, they'll set the tempo for the rest of the ball club.
Ground ball to third. Machado's up with it, lazily flips it over, and that's 8 straight retired by Worley. Bottom of the 6th, it'll be Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, Pedro Alvarez. Davis swings over the top. He's 0 for 2 today. And now it's 0-2 quickly.
It looked like a replay from
Didn't
first pitch to the second. The exact same location, the exact same swing.
Didn't miss by much. That was really close with a fastball down and in. Had him locked up, but another 1-2. Got him. Came back to that same pitch that he got him on the first 2 with. And that's strikeout number 5 for Kluber. That'll bring up Mark Trumbo. Trumbo has grounded out and walked. I beg your pardon. That's 6 strikeouts for Kluber. Good fastball. Just challenged him and threw it by him.
Well, in that last at bat where he walked Trumbo with a chance to drive in a run, everything was away in that at bat. I mean, fastball, cutter, he tried to dot the outside, but I mean, he didn't see anything remotely close from that middle of the plate in.
Ball really took off on him. A lot of movement, way out of the strike zone, and now Trumbo's back to even at 2-2. Got him swinging with a curveball. 7 for Kluber. T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball. Trevor Story went 4 for 4, blasted 2 home runs last night. How about this rookie, huh?
Yeah, it's you know, he started out the year with a very, very special week of the first 10 games, and he has just continued it. Boy, he's truly been something special.
Broken bat, base hit for Pedro Alvarez.
Well, shatters the bat, but they're playing the shift on him, and just happens to go the other way, and plenty of room. He'll get a base hit. That's number 6 for the Orioles.
His hands are probably still stinging.
Yeah, but you take them.
Ryan Flaherty base hit his last time up. That has a chance for Colorado to be pretty good lineage if you consider from Tulowitzki to Story.
Well, that's why they traded Tulowitzki. They had a young man that I don't think they expected anything like this for him to come and start out. We talked to a couple of scouts where he was at AA, and they said, you know, he was okay. You never know. Give the kid an opportunity, and he was able to run with it. Is there any doubt who Rookie of the Year will be over there?
I don't believe it's a competition. 26 home runs.
We want to send out some get well wishes to Tom Flores from Elyria in the hospital. Tom, we hope you feel better. Get well soon.
Hopefully the Indians will make him feel better by the time this game's over. Drive down a run in the 6th. Ryan Flaherty with a 2-1 count. And it's up and away. Remember, Kluber was behind Flaherty in that third inning, 3-1, and came back to strike him out. Bullseye, full count. White Sox have quickly jumped out in front of Detroit, 1-0 in the first at U.S. Cellular Field. They beat the Tigers in the end of that suspended game this afternoon, 4-3. Runner goes, struck him out. 8 Ks for Kluber. Advance 3 in the 6th, but the Birds still lead it by a run.
Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by Ford, built Ford tough. By the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. And by Adventure Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Up to 25% off on 2016s. Save now.
Already the 7th inning. Tribe down a run. Vance Worley giving the Orioles a 3rd consecutive really strong starting performance in the series.
Well, this is a high for pitches for Worley, and you know he's into the 7th inning. He's given Buck more than he even thought, I am sure. 88 pitches in his last start, but he went 4 1/3 innings in those 88 pitches. Today he's 92 and he's into the 7th inning.
Ball carries pretty well, but it's caught just shy of the warning track, 1 down. Well, consider this: since the Indians took the 2-0 lead in that 4th inning, they don't have a hit, they don't have a base runner. Vance Worley has retired 9 in a row. Roberto Perez drove in the last run for Cleveland with a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. How about Jose Altuve? He homered in the 1st inning and the 2nd inning today.
They're playing pretty well. They're just they're pounding the Los Angeles Angels.
So they're en route to their 4th straight win.
They have 9 runs. It's the 3rd inning.
Yeah, Texas is in Kansas City. If the Rangers lose, that lead could be down to a single game in the loss column.
Boy, they made up a lot of games in a short period of time.
Roberto Perez, a slow chopper to short. Flaherty flips it over. 2 away. Jimmy Hanlon, our PGA pro, will be up with the Golf Zone. Talk about this weekend's PGA event in Canada. Inside the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon, presented by American Eagle Mortgage and Farm & Guard, tonight at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio. Top of the order, Carlos Santana. Foul right back. Oh, that was close. Worley was headed off the mound. He was going to the dugout. This looked like a strike.
Well, let's see. He goes inside. Oh my goodness! You're getting a 4th strike in this at bat, no doubt. That was a very good pitch. He had him locked up.
And the 2-2. Swung on and missed. He got him anyway. What a performance by Vance Worley. Stretch time in Baltimore. The Orioles lead it in Crabtown 3-2. Promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, the famous pine tar game where George went ballistic. They had to replay that game, come back and look at that. Have you ever seen anybody as crazy?
Tim McClellan was the home plate umpire that day. I'm sure he never forgot that day.
No. Nor would anybody let him.
No. Been a great weekend for the Birds and a bad weekend for the Indians. They just have not been able to get anything going against the Orioles. On the verge of being swept in this ballpark for the second year in a row. Down a run. Tribe has 2 at-bats left. Up to Kluber to try and keep it a 1-run game here. This game's tough to figure out. Impossible to predict. The Indians came in here with a full head of steam rolling after winning the series in Kansas City. Baltimore hadn't really been playing all that great.
No, they had scored 6 runs in the last 5 games.
But just like Boston, they're at home, Fenway Park. They got the lowly Minnesota Twins coming in, and what happens? The Twins beat them the first 2. And I mean, Minnesota came from behind. They were down 7-2, 7-3, and came back and beat them 11-9 last night at Fenway.
Yeah.
So every team has its ups and downs. The hope was for the Indians is that they could salvage today and at least get out of here with this one game in the series. But it hasn't gone according to plan yet. 1 away. Let's go down to Andre with a little bit on Tyler Naquin in center field.
We've had a lot of talk about Tyler Naquin and him becoming more comfortable in his latest venture here with the big league club. Terry Francona talked this morning a little bit about how the last time he was called up, you know, they were talking, him and Millsy were working on balls in center field and things like that earlier in the year, and they finally said, you know what, Tyler, just go out and play defense with and use your athletic ability. Stop worrying, stop thinking, go out and play. And they said when that happened, he smiled, and it seems like he's been a changed player since.
Nice play at first base here, 2 down. Well, I think that's
instincts. Go on out there and play with instincts. And that's the key. Well, you notice, too, in some of the bigger ballparks we play in, Kansas City being one, Detroit being another, that the outfielders are starting to play shallow, which certainly helps. But, you know, all in all, he's still got a ways to go, and you still got to continue to work at your craft. He made a mistake today throwing home on a base hit by Machado back in the 4th when he gave him the first run. He allowed him to go to second base by missing his cutoff man, and that's something that has to be done on a daily basis when you're a major league center fielder. But boy, he seems like a different guy personality-wise, offensively. I think he believes he belongs here, and he's accepted here, and he's playing very well here.
the 0-1 from Kluber. There goes the bat from Jones.
Have you seen this? I mean, I don't remember seeing it as many times as we have here. I don't know if it's the heat with the sweat and everything that's going on through the gloves or whatever.
Is it just the pitching of Kluber that has them fooled to the point where?
No, I mean, you still don't lose your bat. I don't know. It's happened a lot in this series. Ramirez our own Jose Ramirez threw one back to the screen again, didn't he?
Yeah, he does that a lot. In the air, right field. Lonnie. 1, 2, 3. We go to the 8th. Indians down a run. Is presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made for Brad Brock. Curious choice in that Brock worked 2/3 of an inning last night and got banged around for 2 runs on 3 hits, including a 2-run double by Lonnie Chisenhall. It was in the 9th inning, and it forced Buck Showalter to have to go and get his closer, Zach Britton, in what was a 5-0 game going into that inning. They just activated Darren O'Day off the DL. But Brock is going to get the shot right here. The Orioles do not have a left-hander for a matchup role. They've got their closer, Zach Britton, who's a lefty. But as far as that late inning left-on-left guy, they sent Donnie Hart back to the minors today when they activated Darren O'Day. Jason Kipnis takes a strike.
Yeah, it was Kipnis and Lindor that got it started off Brock yesterday in the 9th. They had base hits. But boy, they got more out of Vance Worley than they thought. 7 innings, 5 hits, just a couple of runs. He's going to get a big pat on the back when this is over.
Pulled foul. Almost took out one of the cameras. 1-2. Off-speed pitch, tried to entice him, but no chase. Leaving the count. Fouled right back. Adam Eaton just hit a 3-run homer for Chicago off Anibal Sanchez. It's now 4-0 in the 2nd inning. White Sox over the Tigers. There's the 2-2 down at Kipnis. Way outside a full count. Kipnis, Lindor, and Napoli for the Indians here in the 8th. Kipnis with a line drive base hit into left field, and just like last night, he starts the inning with a single.
That was a good swing. He stayed on it nicely, hits it to left field. And Brock was upset with himself, but it's a 3-2 pitch. You can't walk him. This was off the dish. If you see his reactions, I don't know if we'll see Brock, but he was upset. But Kipnis hit a very good pitch.
All right, Arch, 1-run game. Do you see Lindor possibly bunting in this situation?
No, I don't.
Orioles don't appear to be looking for it either. And Frankie hits a slow chopper to second. Off the glove
Stay there,
of Schoop. And Kipnis gets back in time, and everybody's safe.
That was the mistake. He went to tag him and throw him out. And as a base runner at first base, you don't want him to tag you, but this time he went to tag him, and I think Kipnis kicked it out of his glove. And it ends up working out. Watch this. This is one where you don't want to get tagged, but the timing was so close, he tried to beat him.
You know what? Kipnis didn't realize he didn't have the ball in his glove.
I know it. He thought he tagged him and he was out, but you know what? He wasn't. And he got back there. He was lucky. So now it is 1st and 2nd. And nobody out on that fielder's choice.
They charge Schoop with an error.
Okay.
A fielder's choice for Lindor, but the stage is set now, and Mike Napoli looks at a ball outside. Just like last night against Brock, the first 2 reach to start the inning. Napoli 0 for 3 today, 0 for 10 in the series. And looks at a ball outside. It's 2-0. Napoli, though, like Chris Davis of the Orioles, doesn't matter how long they go for how many strikeouts, they just keep on swinging. And they're always dangerous, especially in these situations. Borderline pitch. Napoli, you don't see him gesture like that. He did not like this call one bit.
Well, they're sitting away. They squeeze in.
I can understand why he's upset. That didn't look like it was really even close. Now the 2-1. And that forced him to maybe swing at a pitch he didn't want to. 2-2. First and second, nobody out, 8th inning, and the 2-2 to Napoli. 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That wasn't exactly right down the slot. It was away. But it was probably going to be called a strike, so he had to get after it. Napoli's looking for that mistake from Brock. In the dirt, and a nice block by Joseph. He's done a whale of a job back there on a number of occasions, keeping the ball in front of him.
Yeah, what a break that would have been for the Indians if he could get out of that double play situation. He throws it in the dirt. He did do that, but a nice play by Joseph to keep them where they are. 3-2 now. And you would think for the most part has to throw a strike.
And the payoff pitch. Hit hard in a left field, a base hit. Kipnis going to be waved around third. Bourbon's up. He's throwing to the plate. He is safe, and we are tied at 3. Mike Napoli with an RBI single here in the 8th. And the Indians have come back to even the score. But more importantly, still 2 on and nobody out.
This will be our AT&T high-speed replay. He got a strike, and he put a good swing on it to hit it in the hole between short and third. Mike Sarball being very aggressive. He's not holding anybody up. You get in, score to home plate. They tied the ball game up now with the first 3 hitters in this game with the help of the error. Now here comes the throw. Nobody could advance any further, so it's still first and second. There's still nobody out, and now they're getting their bullpen up and getting it loose.
I think that is that Michael Givens?
Yeah, I think so. He was in last night, so I think it is Givens.
Rick, that's the 8th time this year that Mike Napoli has tied a game with an RBI.
Well, that's clutch hitting right there. The big boy, you couldn't have picked a better time to get your first base hit of the day.
Of the series.
Of the series, okay. And Brock, he went 2/3 of an innings, gave up 3 hits last night. He's given up 2 hits and doesn't have an out.
That's why I said to you, I thought it was a curious choice for Showalter to bring him in here after just activating Darren O'Day.
Well, this is his eighth inning man, with O'Day being out and missing so much time.
Ramirez pops one up. Shallow left. Out goes Flaherty. In comes Bourbon. 1 away.
And you know, with O'Day missing all that time, Matt, you know, he had 1 rehab start. He's thrown 16 pitches since you know, early May, and I don't think you bring him into that pressure situation their first time back. And
well,
I think that's the one reason.
And I'm sure in Showalter's mind, it's a lot like what the Indians maybe went through recently with Brian Shaw. He had the 1 bad outing. Terry Francona next day, boom, went right back to him.
Absolutely.
Shaw rewarded him with a 1-2-3 inning. Not the same scenario so far for Brock. He's given up 1 go-ahead run in scoring position for Lonnie Chisenhall.
He's 2 for 3 today with a double and a single and a run scored.
And Chisenhall got the base hit off him last night to drive in the 2 runs. So this is be a good contest here.
If I remember right too, last night it was Lonnie had 2 strikes on him. I don't remember what the count was, but he had a pretty good at bat. Kept the game alive and forced him to go to their closer in the 9th. Ground ball to second. There's 1 and 2. Middle of the 8th. The Indians come back and tie it 3-3. Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Alan Jensen will be live here in Baltimore to wrap up today's game and the road trip. And then we'll take it on home. Off day tomorrow. Indians will welcome in the Washington Nationals for a brief 2-game series on Tuesday night at Progressive Field. Brian Shaw has the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up for Baltimore. He's making his 46th appearance on the year.
Yeah, and he's coming in. Kluber again, another 7 innings pitch. 6 hits, 3 runs for Corey. Walked 1, struck out 8. Allowed that home run from this guy that gave him a 3-2 lead. But offensively, they come back. They tied it up here in the 8th. So a no decision for Kluber.
For Brian Shaw this year, I know he's been in the crosshairs for a lot of fans, and that's comes with the territory when you're a late inning reliever. But when you look at his season as a whole, he has not been able to get out from underneath the month of April, which is really sort of ludicrous when you think about it, because even hitters get off to slow starts, but because relief pitchers, statistically anyway, their work is so condensed, it's hard. He gave up 10 runs in April, which is a lot for a relief pitcher. I'm not making excuses. He's given up 10 runs total since then.
I know. You can have 1 bad outing or 2 bad outings, and it could skew the the ERA or whatever you want to look at the numbers, but he's coming in, and you take into consideration he faces a lot of the middle of the orders times he comes in, like right now, facing 2, 3, and 4. And I went back and looked at a couple of his numbers, and a lot of times it's the guys in the Central Division that have been able to get to him.
Schoop down on strikes, 1 away.
The Tigers, the White Sox, Minnesota, the teams that have an idea about this guy. When you don't see him a whole lot, you get swings like that on that breaking ball, and he gets Schoop to go chase it, and he will get his first strikeout.
Of course, the key there for Brian, just like when he faces the Central, is to pitch ahead.
Yeah, ahead in the count is always big for any pitcher, but he runs into trouble as many do when you fall behind and you have to throw something good. And he can't forget about that slider to back off people, because his fastball and his cutter, it's 94 and a mile-an-hour four-seamer, and his cutter can get up to 92, 93.
Downstairs, Brian's been a little testy with the media that covers the team recently with some of his ups and downs. Andre, what more do you add to this?
The other pitch, and I'm glad Rick just brought that up with the problems of the Central, because I brought that up. He says he's got a changeup, and Chris Jimenez has told him against some of these bigger hitters, and he told me against certain guys in the Central and maybe even Machado, he's going to start using that changeup just to give another wrinkle for hitters to look at, because like you said, everything's in that same mile per hour right now.
And there's nothing wrong. You have to show it, and a lot of times you don't. You're going to pick it. You're not going to throw that pitch when it means something, but you're going to put it the doubt in a hitter's mind that you have another pitch or something else. But it backs him off from that fastball. Everything hard where he's a thrower. You need to back off the hitters.
Back to the screen. It's 2-2.
These guys are so programmed. They look up at this. The hitters look up at scoreboards and say, okay, 92. 92. They know what it takes to get to the barrel of the bat to the baseball for that. Now 94, 95, a little more difficult. They know they have to start a little earlier. Well, Shaw can throw it up there at 94, but what does he have to back it off? There, just to show him you've got something off speed.
That was the pitch that Schoop couldn't help himself. He chased. Machado lays off, and now the 3-2. After he shook him off with 4 straight shakes of the head, Roberto says, I'll just go out and figure
Tell me
this out.
what you want to throw. I won't have to put it down.
No. Okay, I'm out of fingers. Base is empty. 1 out. Last to the 8th. 3-2 pitch. Oh, boy, that didn't miss by much. Ball 4. 1 out base runner for the Birds. Brings up Chris Davis.
He tried that cutter to start it at him and just run on the inside corner of the plate. Wasn't a bad selection. It just didn't come in enough for him. And if you're going to miss it with that guy, you got to miss in off the plate.
Chris Davis 0 for 3 today. Hitless in 11 trips in the series. And that fastball, sometimes I'm amazed at the movement he gets on that pitch at 94 miles an hour. And that went in. And Davis fouls it off his foot. 0-2. Chris Davis with Mark Trumbo to follow for Baltimore in the 8th. Tribe came back to tie it at 3 in the top half of this inning. Davis had asked for time, and it was granted. Up and away. One ball, 2 strikes with 1 out in the 8th inning. Baltimore, an incredible 35-14 this year here at home. Opposing foul. What they do from the 7th inning on is even more amazing.
Yeah, they've scored over 150 runs on the year from the 7th inning on.
152 to be exact. That's second in the league. 4th in the majors. And 45 home runs in the 7th inning or later. That's tied for the most in the league. Two and 2. Now the 2-2. Missed inside.
He's going like a 3-2.
They got it at first. Holy mackerel! They caught him sleeping on both ends.
How about that? Have you ever seen that before?
No.
I mean, his own hitter deked him. Machado thinking it was ball 4 because the hitter, he threw his bat away, so he was going to go to second base. And then wisely, Perez throws it down to first, and Napoli has him and throws him out. Unbelievable. What a break that is. Look at Machado says, okay, ball 4. No, it is not. Now they're going to look at their video to see how many pitches he threw prior to that to see, but no, it's a 3-2 count.
I think they're also checking just to make sure that Napoli did get the tag on him.
Oh my goodness.
And he did.
What a break.
And now Davis ends up walking. So 2 down, and Mark Trumbo the batter. What's interesting about that? Trumbo liner to right. Caught by Chisenhall, ends the inning. Most of the time hitters ask the umpire because they don't trust the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And that time the scoreboard was right, but Davis wasn't paying attention to anybody. We'll go to the 9th, tied at 3. Time or another, when it's really hot, it's really humid, it can make you maybe a little dizzy, maybe make you lose your train of thought or your concentration. But
there's down in the count
0-2.
Misses away. Fouled one off. Still 1-2. Make it 2-2. And now comes
ball 3.
All right. He forgot he fouled that one off. Oh my goodness. He deked his teammate. His teammate thinking, okay, you walked, threw the bat away, and not knowing the count. And hey, that happens, but boy, I don't think I've ever seen it like that before. I really haven't.
Well, now Darren O'Day comes into the ballgame. Buck didn't want to use him in the 8th, but now he'll bring him on in the 9th in a tie game. Juan Uribe leading off for Cleveland. He also doesn't have to face the meat of the order. He's got the bottom 3rd here. But nonetheless, I'm not second guessing Buck Showalter. He's obviously got the reins on his team and knows how he wants to use his guys. I just thought it was an odd choice given that the Indians had handled Brock the night before. But he brought him out again today, and the Indians got to him again. Now O'Day quickly ahead of Uribe, 0-2. Strikes him out on 3 pitches. Looks really rusty, doesn't he? Recapping our keys to the game, brought to you by Mazda. Vance Worley with another terrific outing by an Orioles reliever turned starter. Corey Kluber pitched well. He gave up a couple of runs, but you can also look at how close he was to not giving up runs. Or maybe only giving up 1 run because of the mistake by Naquin, missing the cutoff guy, a double play that was bang bang, wasn't turned again.
I know they responded, though. The most disappointing thing is right when the Indians got on the board, he didn't have a clean inning. He went out there and they answered it, kept the Indians' momentum off the board, and they haven't had much this whole series. So
no. Old Mo has been wearing black and orange in this series.
Yes, it has.
Tyler Naquin drove in the first run of the game way back in the 4th. To the count.
We'll take a look at it from the side, and
no,
didn't look like it, did it?
No. Here's the 1-2. Double for Naquin back in the 4th, his 11th, and now 30 RBIs. Pulled foul. Pitched very well in the series. They have not made very many mistakes. That's where the Indians will pounce on you. You make a pitch
leave it in the heart of the plate. Usually they capitalize. Struck him out. 2 down. Indians tied the game in the 8th inning on a leadoff single by Jason Kipnis. A misplay defensively by Baltimore looked like it opened the door big time for the Tribe. But after Mike Napoli's RBI single made it a 3-3 game, there was still 2 on and nobody out. But Jose Ramirez had a little lazy pop-up. Nobody could advance, and Chisenhall banged into an inning-ending double play. Boy, it wasn't that a theme from last night and the night before.
Sure was.
I think that's 6 double plays in all hit into in the series for Cleveland.
You are right. You're right. 2 the first night, 3 last night, and that one here today.
2 down. Roberto Perez got his first hit of the year in the 3rd, drove in a run with a sac fly in the 4th. Split in half.
Another cue shot. And you lose part of your cue.
A piece of balsa wood, didn't it?
Yeah. And it doesn't make, oh, there it is. He's going to get some of that claw out there and get it on the bat. Well, the Indians trying to salvage the one game in this series, and boy, they could certainly use it. That would be a good way to head home on this long road trip. End it with a win, even though the Orioles have won the first 2. They were able to win the first 2 series on this trip, so you got to go back on a positive note.
There is the 1-2 pitch. Good eye, lays off, evens the count. Baltimore, Cleveland, Texas all started the day with 56 wins in the American League. Those are your 3 division leaders. Now the 2-2. Darren O'Day's return from the DL is a pretty good one. Strikes out the side in the 9th. Camden Yards in Baltimore. 3-3 ball game, bottom of the ninth. Cody Allen coming on for Cleveland, and presumably if this goes well, Terry Francona can use him for 2 innings because he hasn't pitched in a while, and tomorrow's an off day. Because normally you don't want to bring your closer into a tie game on the road, because if you take the lead, then you know you need somebody to close them out. But look at Cody's pitched once in the last week.
Yeah, there you have it. So you're right, strong, fresh. Hopefully he has his good curveball working today to go along with that fastball. He's going to face Alvarez, Flaherty, Joseph, which is the bottom part of that lineup, 6, 7, and 8.
Alvarez today is 1 for 3. But he had a very key fielder's choice in the 4th inning in which he earned an RBI on a double play that was overturned on a video replay challenge by Baltimore. That was RBI number 31 for Alvarez on the year, and it tied the game. Swing and a miss.
Yes, he did.
He chased a ball that bounced well out in front of the plate.
He's trying to end the game with 1 swing here. He's getting into that homer mode. Cody starts him off with 2 breaking balls and has him down to the count now 0-2. And as we see a lot of times, that's what happens. You get down to the extra innings. You know, we've witnessed that many times.
Fouled away. Two-strike pitch. Chased another ball in the dirt. How about the ricochet, and it hits Alvarez. Unbelievable.
We saw that before one time.
But again, here's a case where Roberto Perez,
he had enough time.
Make a move in or out to give yourself a better lane to throw.
Exactly. That ball, we talked about having the brick behind home plate where the ball can bounce right back to you. It does. But watch, he doesn't go inside the line like you're talking about to throw him out. Go one way. And let's just see your first baseman goes off the top of his helmet. So it's a strikeout and a wild pitch. And they got their leadoff man aboard. Unbelievable. We saw this earlier.
An error charge to Roberto Perez. That's a weird one too. Flaherty gets the bunt down. Napoli will flip it to Kipnis. 1 away.
Well, they get their sacrifice.
Now Caleb Joseph will be the batter. At the knees, a called strike.
Well, Joseph takes a lot of pitches the other way. Chisenhall not too deep and right with a good arm. So that'll be interesting if he can get a base hit that way. But I'm just thinking that's the way he's looking.
Down on the dirt. Caleb Joseph, 1 for 3 today with 5 hits on the weekend, trying to end it with a base hit. Takes down low, 2-1. Although I shouldn't say a base hit. I don't know that Alvarez can score from second on just any old base hit.
No, that's why I'm thinking, you know, you're right. I mean, he's looking to get a good secondary lead, but he's not fast. You know, so there's a good chance that they'll have an opportunity.
Low, 3-1.
But he's not throwing him a strike here. This is the guy you want to go after. He'll be sitting for a fastball here.
He got it, but fouled it off. Nolan Reimold into the on-deck circle to pinch hit for Julio Bourbon. Out of play. Actually right back to the screen above the head of Nolan Reimold. Baltimore 3 walk-off wins on the year. The 3-2 from Cody. Blew it by him. Good fastball, well located outside part of the plate. And there are 2 down.
Came back with just a good fastball away. You know, go ahead. There it is. It's on the outside edge. It was an excellent pitch. It was a strike, but he gets the swing and miss anyway. So now 1 more out to go.
It's not often that you see a right-handed hitter pinch hit for a left-handed batter with a right-hander on the mound. But Buck Showalter has never been about convention.
Well, he's got his numbers, and I'm sure he's got his reasons. They're 1 swing away from taking this series from the Indians. The Indians trying to send this to extra innings.
Reimold is 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter this year. And he takes a look at the ball down low. again. 2-0. Winning run at second, and Pedro Alvarez. The 2-0 pitch to Reimel. Hammered deep left, and the Orioles will walk it off. Weekend in Baltimore culminated with a walk-off 2-run homer by the Orioles in the bottom of the ninth, and they win it 5-3 to sweep the 3-game series. And our Pat O'Brien play of the game.
Well, he fell behind early with a couple of breaking balls. He went at Reimel with a fastball, and I'll tell you what, he didn't miss it. He jumped all over it and hit it out of the ballpark, and that's a walk-off winner. So the Orioles come back home, and they continue to play very well. And the Indians are going to wobble home. Have a long road trip. They'll have an off day to regroup and get ready to come back on Tuesday.
Two things come to mind. One, this was a series where it seemed like every time the Indians gave the Orioles an opening, they ran through it. It's not that they didn't catch any breaks. They didn't make any of their own breaks. They didn't generate a lot offensively. And Baltimore took it to them. The other thing, though, is that it's a 3-game series. So I don't think this is any time for anybody to panic either.
Oh no, not at all. I'll tell you what, they didn't hit that well. They didn't score, and it wasn't a well-played series by the Indians. I don't think. They've got to pick it back up, man. They got to regroup, and they're going to head home. And tell you what, it's going to be a favorable schedule for the month of August for the Indians. They're home for a 3-team homestand.
Yep.
So they got to go back home and take advantage of their home cooking.
Yeah, Baltimore has not been kind to the Indians. They are 0 for Baltimore in the last 2 seasons. So it's good to get out of here. The final today, Baltimore 5, Cleveland 3. We'll greet you Tuesday night from Progressive Field when the Indians play host to the Washington Nationals. For Rick Manning and Andre Knott, I'm Matt Underwood. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's, with Al and Jensen live from Baltimore. It's coming up next.